Welcome to the Knakal News Network. The Knakal News Network is brought to you by the Knakal Group, Cushman & Wakefield's #1 investment sales team.
Hi, I'm John Hageman, partner at the Knakal Group at Cushman & Wakefield. Welcome to the Knakal News Network. Today I'm here with Bob Knakal, Chairman of New York Investment Sales at C&W, and today we're going to talk about the top reasons that owners are selling today. So Bob, one of your recent Observer articles was about the top 10 reasons that owners are selling in today's market. Tell us what some of those are.
There are a lot of them, but we'll start the conversation by saying that we always advise clients they shouldn't sell. And we think that if you own property for the long term here in New York, you're going to do great. Each successive cycle peak has exceeded the prior peak to a great extent. But notwithstanding that, there are good reasons why some people do sell. And number one is clearly old, reliable, death and divorce. When clients either have one of those two circumstances, they generally don't have a choice. They need to sell to liquidate the property. If you look at some of our clients who are value-added type of investors that will go in and do a turnaround on a property or create value somehow, after they've created that value and leased the property, they want to take advantage of that value they created, take that capital out, and go buy another property where they can create more value rather than just holding a stabilized return for a long period of time. So that's another reason that people are tending to sell today.
One segment of the market ownership that we've been spending a lot of time with recently is the nonprofit sector. What's the motivation for those groups today?
A lot of nonprofit organizations are very cash poor and real estate rich. And for most of these organizations, the most important thing is fulfilling their mission. If a nonprofit organization is either breaking even or losing money every year, but they're sitting on some great real estate, they can sell that real estate, move into a rental location or buy a smaller property and put tens of millions of dollars into an endowment.
One of the other trends we've seen is a lot of clients selling assets that they hold to raise capital for new projects. Tell us what some of those trends have looked like.
Yeah, absolutely. With the financing market not being as aggressive as it has been in past cycles, more equity is required. So sometimes we have clients that will sell properties that don't quite fit into the main strategy of their portfolio. So sometimes it's just a matter of raising capital for the next deal.
And that goes along with owners that we've seen realigning their portfolios.
Absolutely. I think investors are constantly looking at their holdings, figuring out what they want to continue to own, what they might not want to continue to own. Some people started buying small properties and they've developed into larger properties. So a constant shift within their portfolios is also driving some of the sales activity we're seeing.
And what about some of the assets we've seen significant vacancy? It's really a double-edged sword in New York, isn't it?
It is, and I think what you see is that for some owners who are a little bit more conservative and don't want to take lease-up risk or market risk, if they have a very significant lease that's coming up, they may opt to sell the property now. And sometimes if an owner has gotten significant vacancy in their property, they feel it's a great time to capitalize on that, particularly in an up market where the vacant space actually is more valuable than rented space.
One of the other things we've seen recently is folks selling land that they purchased only recently, maybe only 12 to 24 months ago.
That's indicative of what's happening with land. Land is getting tougher to build. Construction costs are rising. It's tougher to get financing today. Banks are being a lot more discriminating in their construction and land acquisition lending. So often it makes sense for them just to sell and take no market risk than to go ahead and develop and take market risk in terms of what the market will be like 2 or 3 years from today.
Lastly, Bob, so are there owners out there that are trying to perfectly time the market?
Sure, and it's impossible to perfectly time the market, but you see both small investors and large REITs that look at the marketplace, try to figure out cycles. Trying to time those cycles is very important, and we have to remember that the marketplace is cyclical. It will always go up, will always go down, and the folks who can make those timing decisions best are in a good position to take advantage of those. In summary, there are several reasons why owners are selling properties in New York City today. While we suggest that people don't sell because the peak of each successive cycle has greatly exceeded the previous peak, some are forced to sell and others are selling because they feel they have created as much value as possible in the current asset. Portfolio realignment is a big part of this trend as well, with some owners taking advantage of current market conditions. Trying to time the peaks and valleys of each cycle is nearly impossible, but some folks have a remarkable track record of showing that they have a great nose for when the market might change.
Thank you for joining us today. Tune in next week for another episode of the Knakal News Network.